If you are watching this and your husband or wife is still alive, still breathing, still sitting in the other room right now, I need you to hear me before it is too late. Because 5 years ago, my husband Jerry was sitting in his recliner, 12 feet from where I am right now, and I thought I had all the time in the world to figure out what our life would look like at the end. I did not. And the mistakes I made after he died nearly destroyed the 51 years of good we built together. My name is Annette. I was a bookkeeper in Savannah, Georgia for 41 years. I balanced other people's accounts, caught errors nobody else could see, kept the numbers honest. But when Jerry passed, I could not keep my own life from falling apart, because grief does not care how organized you are. It does not respect your systems. It gets into everything like water through a crack in the foundation. And if you do not know where to look for the damage, it will rot the whole structure before you even notice. So here is what I need you to understand. I am not telling you this because I read it somewhere, or because a therapist suggested it. I am telling you this because I lived it. Every single mistake. And I am telling you now because somebody should have told me. I have watched people go through this. Friends from church, women I have known for 40 years, suddenly standing in their own kitchens, not knowing which cabinet the coffee mugs are in, because their husband was the one who always made the coffee. Men who ran businesses, managed hundreds of people, could not figure out how to pay the electric bill because their wife handled all of it. Grief does not care what you are capable of. It takes the most competent person you know and turns them into someone who cannot remember what day it is. So listen to me, please. The first thing that will happen after your person dies is that everyone you know will show up at your door. Casseroles, flowers, cards with Bible verses, people you have not spoken to in 15 years suddenly standing in your kitchen saying they are so sorry. And it feels like the whole world is holding you up. For about 3 weeks. Then they go home. They go back to their lives. The calls slow down. The food stops coming. And you are standing in your house alone for the first time in decades, and the silence is so loud it has a sound. It hums. I swear to you, it hums. And that is the moment most people make their first terrible mistake. They try to fill the silence with noise, activity, decisions. I did it myself. Jerry had been gone maybe 6 weeks, and I called Claire and told her I was selling the house. Just like that. 51 years of living in a place, and I was ready to hand over the keys because the quiet was unbearable. Claire drove up from Macon that same night. She sat me down at this table right here, and she said, "Mama, you are not thinking straight. You are grieving. You do not get to make permanent decisions with a temporary mind. And I got angry with her. I said, "Girl, I have been making decisions since before you were born. Do not talk to me like I am losing it." But she was right. She was absolutely right. I was not thinking. I was reacting. I was trying to outrun something that was living inside me, and you cannot outrun what lives inside you. It goes where you go. So if you have just lost your person, and you are thinking about selling the house, moving across the country, giving away their things, changing your will, making any decision that cannot be undone, I am asking you to wait. Not forever. Just wait. 1 year. That is what I tell everybody now. Give yourself 1 full turn of the calendar. Let yourself have Thanksgiving without them, Christmas without them, their birthday without them, your anniversary without them. Let every season pass once, because you are going to be a different person on the other side of that year, and you want that person making the decisions, not the one who cannot sleep and has not eaten a real meal in 2 months. Now here is the one that nobody warns you about because it sounds like a good thing. People are going to tell you to stay busy. Keep yourself occupied. Do not sit around moping. And on the surface, that sounds right. It sounds productive. It sounds healthy. But I am going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. Staying busy is not the same as healing. Staying busy is just a dressed-up way of running. I know because I did it. After I did not sell the house, I went the other direction. I signed up for everything. Every committee at church, every volunteer shift at the food pantry. I started reorganizing closets at midnight. I rearranged the furniture 3 times in 1 month. I was moving, because if I stopped moving, I would have to feel it. And feeling it was the thing I was most afraid of in the world. I was more afraid of sitting still with my grief than I was of anything I had faced in my entire life. More afraid than when Daddy lost the store. More afraid than when they found the spot on my lung in 2008, and I had to wait 11 days for the biopsy results. More afraid than any of it. Because this was not a problem I could solve. There was no ledger to balance, no number to correct. Jerry was gone, and nothing I did would change that. And the only way through that truth was to sit in it and let it have its way with me. A woman I play cards with, Lucille, she is 89, she lost her Raymond about a year before I lost Jerry. And she told me something I will never forget. She said, "Annette, grief is not a chore you check off. It is a tenant. It moves in. You have to learn to share the house with it." And I thought that was the truest thing anybody had said to me since the funeral. The next mistake, and this is the one I am most ashamed of, is what I did to Claire, my daughter. my only child. After Jerry died, she called every single day, sometimes twice. She drove up from Macon every other weekend. She brought the boys. She cooked. She cleaned. She sat with me on the porch and let me talk about her father for hours. And instead of being grateful, I pushed her away. I told her I was fine. I told her she did not need to keep checking on me. I told her to go live her life and stop worrying. And I said it in a way that was not kind. I said it with an edge in my voice that I had never used with her before, a sharpness that I think surprised us both. I think what was happening, and I did not understand this until much later, was that Claire reminded me of Jerry. She has his eyes. She has his laugh. That big, open laugh that comes from somewhere deep. And every time she walked through my door, she brought him with her. And I could not stand it. So I made it hard for her to come. I picked fights about nothing. I criticized how she loaded the dishwasher. I told her the boys were too loud. I created distance because distance felt safer than being reminded of what I had lost. And one night, Claire called me crying. She said, "Mama, I lost him too. He was my daddy. And I am trying to hold on to you, and you keep pushing me away. And I do not know what I am doing wrong." That phone call, let me tell you, that phone call rearranged something in my chest that I do not think has ever gone back to its original position. Because I realized I had been so consumed with my own loss that I forgot other people were grieving too. Claire did not just lose her father. She was watching her mother disappear. And I was so busy protecting myself from pain that I was causing pain to the one person who loved me most in this world. So if you are pushing people away right now, if you are telling your children or your friends that you are fine when you are not, if you are making yourself hard to love because being loved reminds you of what you lost, I am asking you to stop. Right now. Pick up the phone and call them. Not tomorrow. Now. Because the living still need you. And you still need them. Even if every bone in your body is telling you otherwise. Here is another thing. Your body is going to try to follow your person into the ground. I do not mean that in a poetic way. I mean it literally. After Jerry died, I stopped eating. Not on purpose. The hunger just left. Food tasted like cardboard. I would pour a bowl of cereal and then just stare at it until the milk got warm. I lost 19 pounds in about 2 months. My doctor, bless him, he looked at my blood work and said, "Mrs. Cahill, your body is shutting down. Not because of disease, because you are starving it." I did not realize how much of eating was connected to another person. Jerry and I ate every meal together for 51 years. Breakfast at 7:15, lunch at noon, supper at 6. When he was gone, those times just became empty hours. I had no reason to cook, no one to cook for. And cooking for one felt like admitting something I was not ready to admit, that I was alone. There is something about making a meal for two that is an act of faith. You are saying, I believe there will be someone across this table tonight. When that belief is gone, the ritual dies with it. I would open the refrigerator and just stand there, looking at the shelves, like I was reading a language I used to know. My neighbor brought over a plate of fried chicken one evening, and I sat there holding a drumstick and just sobbed, because Jerry always ate the drumsticks first. It is the strangest things that break you. Not the big things, the drumsticks. It took Claire bringing over containers of soup and sitting with me while I ate them, actually watching me eat like I was a child, for me to start feeding myself again. And I know that sounds small. I know to a young person watching this, eating a bowl of soup does not sound like a victory. But when you are my age, and your heart is broken, and your body has decided it is done, picking up a spoon is an act of war against despair. So eat, even when you do not want to, especially when you do not want to. Take your medicine. See your doctor. Walk to the mailbox and back. These are not small things. These are the way you tell yourself that you are choosing to stay. Let me tell you about the guilt, because nobody talks about the guilt. They talk about sadness. They talk about loneliness. But the guilt is the thing that wakes you up at 3 in the morning and sits on your chest like a cinder block. I feel guilty about things I said to Jerry, things I did not say, times I was short with him when he did not deserve it. The night before he went into the hospital for the last time, he asked me to lie down next to him on the bed, and I said, Jerry, I have got dishes to do. Dishes. The man was dying, and I chose dishes. And I know that I did not know it was the last time he would ask. I know that. But knowing it and feeling it are two different countries, and I have lived in both. The guilt will tell you that you failed them, that you should have done more, been kinder, been more patient, noticed the signs earlier, said the things you kept putting off. I keep a list in my head that I cannot get rid of. The trip to Charleston he wanted to take in 2018 that I said was too expensive. It would have cost maybe $400. I have $400. I have always had $400. But I said no because I am a bookkeeper, and bookkeepers say no to things that are not in the budget. And now I would sell everything I own to sit on a bench in Charleston with that man for one afternoon. And some of that might even be true. But here is what I have learned in 5 years of sitting with this. You did not love them perfectly. Nobody does. But you loved them. And that is what they knew. That is what they carried with them. Not the night you chose the dishes, not the argument about the thermostat, not the birthday you forgot in 1987. They carried the whole thing, the 51 years of it, the ordinary Tuesday mornings of it, the way you always made sure the porch light was on when they came home late. That is what love is. It is not the grand gestures, it is the porch light. And the last thing I want to say is this, and it is the thing I wish somebody had grabbed me by the shoulders and said to my face the week after the funeral. You are going to want to preserve them exactly as they were. You are going to want to keep their side of the closet untouched. Keep their coffee mug in the same spot. Keep their reading glasses on the nightstand. And for a while, that is fine. That is normal. But there is a difference between honoring someone's memory and building a museum in your house where nothing is allowed to move and nobody is allowed to live. I kept Jerry's side of the bed made for 3 years. Hospital corners, the way he liked it. Pillow fluffed. And for 3 years, I slept on my edge of the bed, like he might come home any minute. I finally told my pastor about it, and he said, "Annette, the bed is for the living. Jerry does not need his side anymore, but you need to stretch out." And I went home that afternoon, and I sat on his side of the bed, just sat on it. And I cried so hard, I thought I would crack a rib. But then it was done. And that night, I slept in the middle of the bed for the first time in 51 years. And I slept through the whole night. You can let go of the objects without letting go of the person. Jerry is not in his coffee mug. He is not in his recliner. He is in me, in Claire, in those 2 grandsons who tell the same terrible jokes he used to tell. He is in the tomato plants I grow every summer, because he is the one who taught me how to stake them properly. He is in the way I still set 2 plates some mornings before I catch myself and smile instead of cry. That is where your person lives now, not in the things, in you. And you owe it to both of you to keep living a life worth carrying them through. I am 92. I have buried more people than I care to count. And I am still here. Still growing tomatoes. Still playing canasta on Wednesdays. Still watching the light come through these lace curtains every morning and thinking, "All right, Annette, one more day. Let us see what you can do with it." If this found you at the right time, I am glad. And if your person is still here, go sit with them. Not on your phone, not with the television on. Just sit with them. Hold their hand. Let the silence be something you share instead of something you fear. Because one day, that silence will belong only to you, and you will wish, more than you have ever wished for anything, that you had spent less time on the dishes and more time just being in the room. That is the whole lesson, really. 51 years of marriage and 41 years of bookkeeping and 92 years of living. And it all comes down to that. Be in the room. The dishes can wait. The budget can wait. The thing you think is urgent is almost never urgent. But the person sitting across from you, They will not always be there. And when they are gone, you will remember every moment you chose to be somewhere else. So do not be somewhere else. Be right where you are, with who you have, while you still have them.